Good morning, everyone. Pardon me? Yes. That's relax. Yeah, that's good. Good morning, everyone, and we'll call this meeting to order. Welcome to our meeting for July 21st, 2022. We have no one excused from the meeting this morning, so we will move to the adoption of the minutes. First, are there any errors or omissions or alterations to make to the minutes of the previous meeting held on June 23rd? Oh, Councillor Kopp, please.
My motion C 212-22 was worded that Arno Reeve-Dirksen and Councillor Chrisman be permitted to attend the meeting with Minister of Health and Alberta Health Services, feeling that should say that they were to attend, not just that they were permitted to. It was basically that they were requested to attend. So if we could just change the wording on that.
Okay, thank you. Any other errors or omissions in the minutes? Seeing none, a motion to approve the minutes of the June 23rd meeting. Thank you, Kelly. All in favor of approving the minutes of the previous meeting? That is carried. Thank you. Post-agenda items. Is there anything to add to the agenda that has not been printed in our pre-printed agenda? Matt, please.
I would just note for in camera, we do have a labor issue and intergovernmental relations that we need to address today.
Okay, thank you. Just, I also, CBC South meeting is not on here, right? We'll also add under post-agenda items information regarding a meeting at CBC South on July 26th. That'll be an information item. Anything else to add to the agenda? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda would be in order. Neil, thank you. All in favor of approving the agenda as updated? That's carried. Thank you. Question period. Todd, are there questions for us this morning from the public?
Good morning. We collected a couple more people viewing. We have 8 people viewing now, but same as before, no pending questions. So all is good to continue.
Okay, thank you. On that basis, we will move on to item number 7.1, Bylaw 2036-2222 Land Use Amendment. And I'll invite Maria, our Supervisor of Planning Development, please. Welcome.
Thank you. This application is to redesignate a portion of land shown in the attached map from Agriculture General District to Direct Control District. This area is more commonly known as the Brooks and District Fish and Game Rifle and Archery Range. The lands are located west of Highway 873 and south of the city of Brooks. It is recommended that first reading be given to this bylaw to redesignate portions of the southwest of 17-1814, the southeast of 17-1814, and Plan 9311870 Block 1 from Ag to Direct Control District, as shown in Schedule A map and the policy outlined in Schedule B. The Brooks and District Fish and Game and Rifle and Archery Range is in the process of completing a required 5-year reapproval for the current operation, and as part of that approval, the firearms officer is requesting a letter confirming that the operation is in compliance with local zoning bylaws. So currently this operation would be considered legal non-conforming, meaning that it can continue to be used as is, but if any further development is requested, then the property will need to follow the policy of the land use bylaw. So amending from agriculture to direct control district will allow the current operation to be in compliance with the current land use bylaw, and will also give the opportunity to develop or expand in the future should they wish to do so. So the land use bylaw currently has policy indicating that a shooting range must only be listed on as a use on a parcel that is designated direct control, which is the reason for this amendment. So staff is recommending that council give first reading to this bylaw. Thanks.
Thank you for that presentation. Are there any questions? Neil, please.
I would make that motion. That's a nice little facility out there, and it's well used in a really nice spot.
Okay, motion to approve first reading. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving first reading of this bylaw? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. Maria, are you prepared to give us the report noted in 10.1, please?
I certainly can.
Yes.
I could go through it, or I could just present it as is, and if there's any questions, I could answer them, however you'd like me to do that.
If you want to just highlight it quickly maybe, and then we'll see if there's questions, that'd be good. Sure.
Sure, okay. So the Planning and Development Department in Q2, we have awarded Park Enterprises the 3-year term for safety code services. So that started July 1st. The county is an accredited municipality, which means developers that are required to obtain Alberta safety codes permits can do so through the county office. We've also done a little bit of continuing education in our department. Shanley attended and also was a host of a roundtable discussion with the ADOA in April. Jeff helped to plan the Community Planning Association of Alberta conference in May, and I completed a course in land design and subdivision through the U of A Faculty of Education. We have been on par with numbers for subdivisions. The second quarter, we had 1 subdivision for agricultural purposes and 2 for residential purposes. And 2 subdivisions were finalized, meaning that they had met all the conditions that were required by MPC and are now probably sitting at land titles waiting to be registered there, which is a long process as it turns out lately. So for development permits, while we did see a large number of people inquiring and submitting applications when at the start of the Phase 2 water project, we did not see that same influx with the extension. June has been a relatively slow month when it comes to development permits as compared to other years. Some notable developments include the Rolling Hills Fire Hall, addition to the Rhino storage facility, 8 new dwellings, the data center operation, and the equine assisted learning business just outside of Dutchess. I completed a survey, I guess, for the Safety Codes Council. They are looking for information from accredited municipalities and agencies, and they're just looking at how, looking for feedback on how the program is going and input on that, which is always good. They're hoping to learn and grow and do better. And as far as construction numbers, they've been relatively steady throughout this year as compared to different years or past years. I think that's it.
Thank you. Maria, any questions? Holly, please, go ahead.
So we're looking at all these permits. So a lot of them for the construction could simply be home renovations then as well, right? I'm just curious, we've seen development permits down, if we think that's related to the sharp inflation increases, or do you think it's just par for the course, just ebbs and flows?
I do think it's ebbs and flows. Yeah, I think that our construction costs maybe are decreasing a little bit in general in industry, and maybe we'll see things go up again. But yeah, I don't really have a solid reason for that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, a motion to approve the report. Holly, please. Thank you. All in favor of approving the planning and development report, please indicate that's carried. Thank you, Maria. Okay, Council, we have, as you'll see on the agenda, we have a presentation or a representative coming from Brooks Health District at Health Foundation at 11:30. So we'll move to item number 9.1, Agriculture Fieldman's Report. Are we ready to do that? Todd, are you coming to join us? Or
Yeah, I can rip down if you guys would prefer.
okay. Lane, do you want to take 10.2 while we wait for, or in the interim? Good morning, Lane. Welcome.
Thank you.
We use every minute to its maximum here, right? So
Two items that I have on the agenda for today, but the first one has to do with our agreement with the City of Brooks that we have had in place for the last 3 years with regards to the Rural Fire and Emergency Services Coordinator position. So this really represents an evolution in the service. 3 years ago, when we had the retirement of our former coordinator, we were able to fill that position with a staff member from the City of Brooks Fire Department who had been serving with the City of Brooks for quite some time. We've had a long-standing, very effective working relationship with the City of Brooks Fire Department, and it has been appreciated, the two-way support that is provided by the department, and we benefit from them being there to provide the services that they are. And I think that this arrangement has provided benefit for the City of Brooks as well. But we've reached a point where there is continued and ongoing need for additional time to be available for that position. One of the requirements in the agreement that we have had is that the position be available to fill in every third week for the city's on-call schedule. They had also requested, and rightfully so, that the position be stationed out of the City of Brooks Fire Hall facility. So that has left us in a situation where the individual has been taxed with regards to the time that they've got available to look after matters that pertain to the emergency services throughout the county. And has also occasionally had situations where it would have been nice to have had the presence in the building where we would have a closer contact with on matters pertaining to the delivery of services. So what we're wanting to do is, and we've had discussions with the City of Brooks Fire Services about this, we're wanting to send notice requesting approval to withdraw from that arrangement so that we could formalize the placement of the position in the administration facility here and ensure that that individual is in a position to look after emergency services throughout the county with the time that they do have available, and not have to worry about splitting their time to the city services as well. So that's the summary of the issue.
Thank you, Lane. Are there any questions for Lane? Holly, go ahead, please.
So previous to Stewart, the position was in this building entirely?
Correct.
And then now if we bring Stewart here, that we won't have an agreement with the City of Brooks anymore, or will we be redoing an agreement? There will still be some sharing.
His time would no longer be shared with the city. We would still have an arrangement whereby if there's a need for support to be provided during vacation, if we've got a major incident and we need support from the city, it's a given that they would be in a position to assist us.
And out of curiosity, does that agreement come to county council to see, or does that just stay with your department?
That would be an arrangement that we would work out with the city administration and their fire services. They have committed that based on past working arrangements, they are committed to being a continued partner in providing services throughout the region, and don't see that it's going to have an impact on them.
Thanks, Lane. Further question? Kelly, please.
Morning. So this came at us a few years ago, and the City of Brooks really helped us out, and I totally agree with your recommendation that we send thank you and appreciation to the City of Brooks. They provided us with quality at a time when we really needed it. So I would like to make a motion to approve your recommendation along with a thank you to the city.
Thank you, Kelly. That is part of the recommendation. I appreciate that as well. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the recommendation, that is carried. Thank you, Lane. And okay, thanks, Dale. Let's move back to item number 10.1. Mr. Todd Green, welcome in person to our meeting this morning.
Thank you for having me. All right, so just a little bit of a brief, I guess, report on our goings on. We are complete the first, or the roadside spraying, I guess, on the north half of the county. I think it went really well. We probably got through it a little bit slower than we would have wanted to, but I think we're still ahead of the weeds, and that's basically just because of the dry start we had to the season. So the weeds were a little bit behind, and we were able to get through that. So excited, and we're going to move over to a few of the dirtier roads on the south side that have some weeds growing, as well as do some road top spraying to alleviate some of the greater pressures. Good roadside mowing program. We should be crossing the #1 highway, so we alternate. We start spraying on the north this year, we start mowing on the south, so we're going to be crossing into the north side of the #1 highway early next week. So that's good timing. We should be done later part of August, and then we do everything that needs a second pass before the snow flies is the goal. I think our VMTs are having a great season as well. We lost the dedicated supervisor, I guess, and so we have 75% new team members, very steep learning curve, but I think they're doing a pretty good job. Hopefully we can retain a few of those seasonal employees next year. It just saves us a ton of relearning, and the oversight is a lot less as well. They also double as our sprayer operators, so tons of contract work, whether it's within our urban partners, the New Regional Landfill, Grasslands, and they do all of our county-owned properties as well. So usually there never seems to be enough time. Kind of that May, June, July is hammered with stuff that needs to be done, and then August kind of slows up a bit, and we can catch up on the things that we need to do. We are planning to do some fall spraying this year on some areas that we fell short. Primarily for us, that's downy brome. We always have troubles getting downy brome at the right season. So try to do a little bit of fall spraying, but we need fall moisture to lock in that herbicide we want to use, and fall moisture is typically not available to us. We did have some pretty high flows on the Bow River, so hopefully it doesn't change the weed pressures too much. In recent years, we've seen significantly lower scentless chamomile populations, but we do see a lot of other weeds popping up. So we monitor, spray and pick weeds from the Bazzano Dam all the way down to the 12-mile coulee. So it takes us anywhere from a week and a half with 6 people, and they collect a lot of weeds and spray what they can, and it's a great program. Our rental equipment, I'd say our drill rentals are down. I know this for a fact because I steal a lot of the ideas from one year to another from the Fieldman report. So when I changed the numbers, they did go down, and I suspect a very dry start to the spring. We didn't have a lot of guys doing the extra acres, so the dry land corners, the dry areas. So that's pretty typical for that. We do expect them to go up quite a bit this fall yet, so they're not quite done. And then livestock equipment is pretty normal. I will highlight that the barbecue 13 rentals doesn't cover it all, because when I wrote this a couple weeks ago, it's been out 4 or 5 times since then, and it goes out again tomorrow. So pretty excited to see people being able to use the barbecue again, join together in big groups, and enjoy their time. Richard and Faye have been doing an absolutely wonderful job at Emerson Bridge. I think they're keeping people happy and the facility's clean, which is kind of their goal. We do have some wonderful snakes down at Emerson Bridge Park, and they've been calling it their home for the last couple seasons. We actually have the lady from Alberta Parks, Jennifer BYLAWS, I believe is her name, BYLAWS. She's coming to train our staff on dealing with snakes today. We own a little snake grabber and a little snake bucket to move them if they become problematic, but we don't have a lot of actual experience doing that. So I'm here. I get to miss that training opportunity, which is ideal. Anyways, yeah, so the one bull snake just happens to like to be underneath the one outhouse. It's a contained system, so they're not in the outhouse necessarily. But anyway, so we have to close it from time to time, but I can't even imagine using the outhouse if there was a snake in there. I guess it's a really good place to scare the crap out of you. Anyways, I apologize, and for the record, everybody that's watching out there, that was bad. We did send out 37 enforcement letters to landowners whose fields were eroded with topsoil and it ended up in the county infrastructure. We worked with many of them to come to consensus on how far needed to be cleaned up. After a few rains, we were able to remove a few from the list that had either washed away or had proven to be more corn stalks than topsoil. So we were able to cancel a few. But all but about 4 landowners completed the work by calling the contractor, and just have to make the time to meet with the other landowners to finish up. So learned a lot through the process, and I mean, hopefully we never have to go through it again, but if we do, we learned a lot as we went through it. So and then, yeah, we're going to be hitting the road once we get through the Riverwalk next week. Back to a ring rot, we only have 1 potato field we have to look at this year. Fusarium, we still have a grant to cover. I think it's 12 wheat fields and 2 or 3 corn fields, checking for Fusarium graminearum. We completed our club route survey, and outside of going back to a few that we have to look at, we didn't really note any major concerns, so that's positive. The VMTs, our weed inspectors, they drive and they look at every irrigated canola field in the county. So I haven't done the numbers, but it's usually in that 250 to 275 kind of range that they look at. They just look for anomalies in the field. So they stay on the road, they get in the back of the truck, they use the binoculars, and they look for anomalies in the field. Club root makes things mature faster and look sick. So, you know, when you're looking across a vibrant yellow flowering canola field, you can pick out the patches that might be troublesome, and then we can go back and look at those later. So that's what they did. And then we count grasshoppers for Alberta agriculture. We usually do that the first week of August. So as soon as we're down the river, we'll hit the grasshopper counts as well. Other than that, that's what I had to tell you today.
Thank you, Todd. Questions for Todd? Kelly and then Ellen, please.
Todd, I see our clump of Phragmites is not on the list, that weed that you found, and is it eradicated now completely off your list?
You know, I think eradication is always a tricky word, but we monitor the 3 sites quite heavily. The lucky part about Phragmites is the best time to control it in our situation is in August. So we check it when we do the CPR tracks, and the one patch just happens to be on my way home every day, so I look at that one a lot. But the other 2 sites are right on the CPR. So Tina and the VMTs went through the whole CPR tracks, doing their contract control work for them. They finished up on Monday, I believe, or Tuesday, I guess, because it rained Monday. Anyway, so we did not find anything growing, which is positive. But yeah, so it's definitely not off our list. We monitor for weeds forever, and Phragmites especially.
Thanks, Todd. Ellen, you've had a question as well, please.
Yeah, regarding picking and spraying weeds. Now, the endangered butterfly, the monarch, apparently this year is really way less they see around flying. Now, that specialty weed, does the county, is it stinkweed or what is that one called again, that they lay the eggs in?
Milkweed.
Milkweed, there we go. And do we leave them for the butterflies?
We don't. So common and showy milkweed are actually elevated in the county of Newell to a noxious weed, and they have been for years and years, well before my time. And I think from what I read about the history of that, we had a lot of milkweed, and it was infesting, I believe, different areas of the county. We have a lot of it in the Rainier, Scandia area, quite a bit in the One Tree area. But anyways, so it's noxious in the county of Newell, as we re-elevated that in 2010. But I guess we have not pushed it that hard in private landowner fields. So I know it's problematic in fields, and most landowners do take care of it themselves, but we don't leave it for the monarch butterflies. The good news is that the MD of Tabor leaves a lot of it, so we're quite lucky. But maybe we won't see as many monarch butterflies. I'm not a monarch butterfly specialist by any means. I understand from talking to a few people, we're not really on the right route for their migration, I guess you might want to call it as well. I might be completely wrong.
Okay, any other? Holly, you've got a question? Thanks.
The milkweed population is healthy in Scandia area. I was roving last week. I was seeing plenty of it. 2 questions. One, what does BRR stand for? I know it's a potato disease, but what is it? That's my first question. And secondly, about downy brome. It seems that there's more downy brome in Brooks. Are you seeing an increase and having a harder time managing it?
Yeah, it's really, okay, I'll start with bacterial ring rot in potatoes. It's a seed-borne disease. I think it primarily comes, it transfers from the potatoes into the soil, and then it's kind of in the soil after that. The downy brome is all weeds are interesting this way. Once we see something, we see more of it. So if we're, if I'm looking for anything, whether it's scentless chamomile, Phragmites australis, all these things, once we know what they are, we seem to pick them up more and more. I don't know that our populations are going down in the city necessarily. It's quite widespread in the city of Brooks, downy brome is, and that was part of the reason why we started the program with the city of Brooks all those years ago, because we have wonderful companies that have their headquarters in the city, but then they move out into the county to do some of their work, which is fantastic. We love that. The problem is that they may take some of those weeds that are in their home base with them. So I don't necessarily think it's going up, but I don't know that it's going down as fast as we would like it either.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Go ahead, Holly.
Would there be merit to using the Brooks Bulletin to publish pictures of the noxious weeds that we're dealing with Because there's some people in Brooks who, I mean, who go walking and would certainly pick weeds if they knew what they were, who like that kind of, who are interested in gardening and weeds and might help in some perspective.
Yeah, I encourage everybody out there on the internet and anywhere that we do a Weed Wednesday in our social media posts. I think we do 20 of them. So we're promoting it that way, and it doesn't matter if you're in the city of Brooks or the county of Newell or the village of Dutchess. I mean, they're all great information. And I'm happy to give out, we order from the Alberta Invasive Species Council a wonderful little weed ID guide. I hand them out like they're chiclets all the time. So if anybody wants one of those, come see me. We just got 160 of them. They're $1 a piece. They're a valuable piece of information. I'll bring some down for you guys at lunchtime.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Holly, go ahead.
I was just thinking about reaching that older population who might still be walking, who is not on social media, who have more time and might have more interest. That was where I was coming from.
Yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
pumped to do something with the Brooks Bulletin if they're here or interested in doing something. Sandra is always looking to do wonderful information pieces.
Thanks. Matt, you would comment?
Yeah, I just wanted, I don't know if council's aware of the long hours that Todd just put in managing all these soil control orders. I'm actually quite surprised. I have not heard a single complaint. Todd's been a great, maybe you're getting all the complaints on the soil control orders, but Todd has done an excellent job managing what I expected would be something that would go quite south. So thank you, Todd, for the extra time and the delicate touch you have with each of our producers. I know it's been a big job, and I think Todd's done an excellent job with it.
Thank you for that, Matt. I've been aware that that is a sensitive file too, and appreciate your effort on that. It's excellent. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your report, Todd. With that, let's move back to item 10.3, Committee of the Whole Terms of Reference. Lane, you're going to manage us through that.
So this matter has been before council on 2 previous occasions. One was when it was originally presented in draft form and then referred to the first committee of the whole meeting. We are requiring council to adopt the formal terms of reference that would guide council on the business of that committee. There was one change that was requested during your last review of this, and that was to introduce a section that provided for calling meetings outside of the normal schedule. That has been included. What we're requesting now is council approval of the terms of reference.
Okay, thank you. And we have the presentation in front of us. Any questions or direction for us from council on that? Kelly, go ahead, please.
Not a question, if you're open to a motion.
I think we're ready for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to approve the recommended policy as discussed, as
Okay,
recommended.
thank you. Yeah, motion to approve the terms of reference as presented, right? All in favor of that, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thanks.
And thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Council, we're moving to item 10.4, the Alberta Municipalities Convention that will be held in Calgary on September 21st and to 23rd. Ariana, you've got a report for us and some more information, or just the report? Go ahead, please.
Wrong button. Yeah, it's pretty much laid out there. So this is the urban counterpart to the RMA convention. We have been sending 2 of our councillors to the urban one. I think the city is still sending 2 to RMA. So yeah, the RFD contains all the information you need. If you're interested, I'm asking for 2 delegates to be selected, and then we'll proceed with the registration before August 10th, when the early bird rate expires.
Okay, thank you, Ariana. So the question is whether we send two counselors, as has been done in the past and as is indicated in the report last year. We didn't do that because of or last fall, because it was just coincided with the election and very close to the RMA convention. So I guess two motions. First of all, that we continue to, with regard to the recommendation that we, just a minute. The recommendation is that we either to appoint two counselors to attend that. I think for information and learning purposes, I'd be interested in attending one up front if someone else is as well, or two other people. What is our wish in that regard? Kelly?
I just wanted to add that I have attended one time, and it is a great learning experience, and you're not on your own. You know, the city makes you feel welcome at the convention, and it's great that it's in Calgary. RMA does not float between the two cities, so we don't have the same luxury, but AUMA does, or AM now. And so I totally agree that we should send two members, and I don't know how you want to do it, if you want to draw out of the hat, because I really think it's good for everybody to go.
Sure. Yeah.
Or how you want to deal with that.
I think it's at the wish of council. Neil, if you got it.
Well, being that we have so many new members, why don't we up it to 4 or 5, if it's as good as you say? All get our feet wet, or the whole council for all I care.
That's a consideration. Ellen and then Lynette, please.
And I've been before, so my name doesn't need to be in the hat. I'd like to give the new members a chance to attend.
Okay. Ellen, pardon me. Thank you, Ellen. Lynette.
My thought was to do it kind of like the FCM, like, because we're here for 4 years, right? So if you might have to do 3 people 1 year and then 2 for each consecutive year, would be my thought.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. That's a good suggestion, and maybe in conjunction with the previous suggestion, maybe we send 3 in the first year, something like that. Kelly, go ahead.
I just wanted to add, to remind everybody that we're non-voting at this convention, but interest in the topics and the information that they're dealing with is great.
Okay, thank you. So the suggestion is that we draw out of a hat? Go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, just leave my name out. I won't be able to go at that time.
Okay, thank you. I would be interested in, Holly, please.
I'm in Manitoba on that weekend, so I may not be back. So I'd like my name out as well for this year.
Okay. Ellen?
Maybe I should mention that council and NPC will be on the 22nd. So just for quorum purposes, perhaps.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just a motion that I'll go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to recommend maybe the motion should be to direct administration to pull names out of a hat and let you know which year you're assigned to, and we can get that out for you.
That's what I was thinking too. That's a good suggestion. So a motion in that direction would be a good one, that we approve 2 or 3 members to attend this year and subsequently over the next several years. So can you make that motion, Lynette? Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Ariana. Item number 10.5, Foothills Little Bow Municipal Association meeting. There's a notice there of the fall meeting that will be on September the 16th. Do we have action to take on that, or what has been the pattern with regard to that? I know a number of us attended last fall, or this winter, but.
Yeah, so notice is here. If there are any resolutions any individual member of council would like to bring up with your peers, now's the time to kind of start thinking about that. Our last kind of kick at the can would be our first meeting in August, given the second one is canceled there. They're looking for resolutions to be submitted by August 26th. So if there's any work to do on resolutions, we could have that conversation. I know we didn't take anything last time, and I'm not aware of anything pressing in previous conversations. Administration has not been doing any work on resolutions, let's say it that way. So,
Okay, that's a good point. Thank you for raising that. I did have that question as well, what the process is for putting forward resolutions. We have had informal discussions about a few things that we thought should maybe be put forward as resolutions. Has anybody taken note of that? I'm thinking of one in particular with regard to concern about conservation easements, and maybe the suggestion that those should be have a sunset clause on them. As they are now, that conservation easements are placed on land in perpetuity. I have some concerns about that, and I think that that's something that it would be worth reviewing, because that ties up, well, perpetuity is a long time. Neil, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but whose jurisdiction is that? Because that's federal, or like it is private property that people can do what they want with.
Yeah, it's that exactly the point. I think it's provincial jurisdiction,
Is it?
but I guess the question is, to me, it seems a little bit presumptuous that at a point in time that land be taken out of circulation at some level in perpetuity. I have no problem with the initiative of a landowner wishing that to be the case, you know, the conservation easements for a period of time. But it seems to me that it would be in our best interest to consider at least some sunset clause on those, so that they become reviewed in the future, because and I'm guessing that will be handled at some point past our lifetime if we don't do it now.
So it's probably a good idea to throw it out there just to get the conversation going.
Yeah, I think so. And I would invite us to think of other things that we thought of, because we have had some discussions about some potential resolutions that we should put forward, and let's raise them now. And I think some work staff could work on some of these things in preparation for our August meeting prior to this Foothills Little Bow meeting, right? Neil and then Greg, please.
Would CWA fall into the resolution category?
Matt, go ahead.
in, I guess, in what manner?
Like we need support to make this thing happen, good for the climate, for our county.
Oh, good for the climate. That might be your way in.
We just need CWA.
I wonder if that should be a resolution or just really a campaign on all of our behalf wherever we go. Kelly, you had a comment about that, and Greg maybe?
Yeah, CWA's pretty regional, right? It's our region, so maybe it could be a regional resolution at Foothills Little Bow, but we would have to, I recommend that we make it clear that it not go to RMA, because they want resolutions at RMA to be province-wide, and so, but great to raise awareness in the Foothills Little Bow area, I think.
Okay, thank you. Greg, you had a further comment?
Yeah, about the CWA, I'm just wondering if that an overpass at Highway 36 and Highway 1 would benefit that CWA development, if that could be something of a, because it's highways that deal with the entire province. I'm wondering maybe that could be a resolution that we could put forward to RMA. And my second point is is what about the solar reclamation fund that we brought up earlier as a resolution? Would that be more of an RMA resolution, or would that be this Little Bow?
I mean, from Little Bow, it could feed up to RMA, I believe, but I think that that's another one that we should maybe do some work on if we think that's a good idea, because that would be a provincial initiative potentially, I would think. Matt, you had a comment?
Yeah, I think on the solar, that might be one that we could even partner with some of our other municipalities on. It sounds like MD of Tabor's already quite a ways down the road in considering what that would look like. The Sewa and also the interchange, Highway 36 and Highway 1 being local projects, I think I don't see Foothills Little Bow putting a resolution up advocating for a specific project for the area. We did meet with the Minister of Transportation back in fall, at fall conference, talking about the interchange, and really that's all going to be based on traffic counts. So as soon as Sewa's built and the trucks start rolling, you're going to have an argument with the new Minister of Transportation to get the overpass or that interchange.
Ellen, did you have a comment? No? Any, Holly, please.
We have had some discussions about provincial trade barriers and bringing that forward. Was that something we still want to follow through on?
Thank you. That is another one that we had this early discussion on, and good point. Matt, you have a comment?
I don't know if we necessarily need to advocate for that. The province is all over, they're all over that right now. I think we were just ranked by the Canadian Federation of Independent Business as the most open for trade. So the province already has that message, and they're going gangbusters on trying to break that down.
Yeah, that's good. I agree they are working on it, and maybe that's enough. We just keep pushing for it because of, yeah, good. Holly?
Is there any way we can do something with the nursing shortage through this, or does that in any way fall under this? I don't think so, but I'm just looking for an avenue.
Again, I think those initiatives are certainly province, or the concerns with regard to supply and services in those areas are province-wide. But I don't know if, I think those are high on everyone's agenda. I don't know what we would say about that other than kind of motherhood issues, and whether, we simply need more service. Anything else? I'm going to suggest that those are 2 or 3 items, right, that you can carry forward with staff, Matt, and then in preparation for the August meeting. And is it appropriate if there are other, if we recall other matters that we think maybe may qualify for an RMA resolution, that we bring those forward with each other and staff prior to the August meeting so that there's time to develop them? And we can informally decide whether we think they're worthy issues as well. There's ways of doing that prior, but basically being aware that this is something that's in front of us, let's think about what we might want to, positions we might want to take with other counties. Fair enough? Okay. So is there action to take on the Foothills Little Bow? That's just information, I believe, right? Yeah, okay. Councillor payment sheets, item number 10.6. Is there a report on that or action to take? Motion of acceptance of the councillor payment sheets or questions? Amanda?
I'll make that motion to accept the pay sheets.
Thank you. All in favor of that? Oh, sorry, Greg. Yeah, this was a question.
Yeah, I have an item to bring up on that, but I'd like to do it in
camera.
In camera.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve Or you want to actually
I'm
delay?
looking for discussion in
Okay,
camera on that one.
let's table the motion to accept that till later in the meeting. All in favor of tabling the motion? It's carried. Thank you. Parliamentary procedures bang on today. We're down to item number 10.7, requests for functions of council. Are there any? Seeing none, we'll move on to municipal services business. Our Director of Municipal Services report. Welcome to our meeting, Mark. Item number 11.1.
Good morning. Usually I do this at the beginning of the month, so you're out of the most recent knowledge. I am going to keep the report strictly to the June period, however, so that when I write my report for the first meeting in August, we're not doing too much overlap or backtracking. Anyway, officers continue to do their patrols. You can see from the traffic safety calendar, commercial vehicle safety, cycling, construction zones, off-highway vehicles, and fatigue were the focus. 27 warnings issued, 7 tickets following 31 investigations over the month of June. Other than that, really business as usual. Remind council again, they are working extended hours. They work 4 days, 10-hour shifts. That includes coverage over weekends, long weekends as well, with the exception of the statutory holiday, but they will be out on the Saturdays or the Sundays. And with that, they are working from anywhere about 6 o'clock in the morning till about 10 o'clock at night. We do not work our officers in non-daylight hours. They are not equipped like RCMP, and due to the response time for RCMP or others to assist if something were to occur, we just don't do it. So some of you have had some Hamlet advisory meetings. Others of you don't have to have those meetings. When you're hearing from your ratepayers and stuff, they are out and about, and they are active in the evenings and occasionally on weekends. Bike patrols, we did buy the officers' pedal bikes. This was an initiative to make them more approachable and responsive to some of the stuff within the communities, including our hamlets. They are patrolling campgrounds on their bikes, as well as in our partner municipalities of Town of Bazzano, Villages of Rosemary and Dutchess, and they are not riding their bikes around on EID land in the middle of nowhere. They are patrolling the EID campgrounds, however, and so far reception on that has been great. There have definitely been people that have engaged them riding by on bikes, because typically when it's 35 degrees outside, and you have to keep your laptop running and whatnot, they got the windows up, the air conditioning blasting, things like that, and somebody just can't, you know, unless they run in front of the vehicle, flag them down and stop them for conversations. So the bikes seem to be working. Additionally, on top of that, those bikes were also purchased in preparation for additional pathway patrols and stuff as we move forward down those ventures. They've attended the Tilley School for purposes of educating elementary students on bike safety, and they also included a bike rodeo in that, and officers also attended, and which is not part of this report, but also attended on boating safety and stuff in Bazzano. Safe Communities, they do participate in a meeting once a month with members of Safe Communities, with the City of Brooks CPOs and RCMP members present to talk about the things that they need to talk about in collaboration as per the written legislation on work with those agencies. And, oh, sorry, I did have the watercraft safety in there. I just broke it out separately. And what else we got? Fleet services, they're still undergoing changes. They did do a clean out, or through the lean management of things, it's called a 5S. They went through the shop in good part to identify those things that no longer need to be used, the tools and stuff that no longer get used. Those were all auctioned off, and I understand the proceeds were very good from what a net auction sold for us, so that is very good. Other than that, they're continuing to find their way with a second mechanic on the floor and getting more of that department restructured. Operations with grader operators, we got rain, then we got heat, and yeah, it's nice to have rain this year. Last year we hardly had any to contend with, but the moisture in the roads, however, you know, every time we get them graded up, then it rains again and they get all rutted. So we are contending with that. We are on top of it. We are receiving some customer service requests from a few people out there in the public through Newell Connect, and we are responding as need to be. I can advise council that we did in fact step down to 7 grader operators in the rotation. In June, we did the dust abatement program, so that takes our grader operators out of their typical rotations. Following that dust abatement program, we have engaged a contract grader operator to put 8 back into rotation to try to get around, get roads caught up from all of that rainfall event that we've had, continuing to work with them and hopefully cutting it off here in early August in a way to get back to 7 in effort to see what we can do with costs and still meet customer expectations. Truck drivers, working on the 263 kilometers of road resurfacing that was planned. Obviously with some of these rains, it's identified some other issues, so that program is growing a little bit, but they are still working on things, and as of the June report, they had 15.2 kilometers done, but I assure you a lot more than that is done today. Dust abatement, well, we were on track, then we were off track. We didn't start on track, but we finished it in a timely manner. It looks fantastic. A lot of it looks like pavement, and we had a lot of good conversation with staff following the application this year. We got some other initiatives that we're going to do some trials here throughout summer to see if we can't do it with 2 packers behind 1 tractor and see if we can end up with a better product. So try to daisy chain a few things together. Might make us a little bit faster as well, so time will tell. So we'll be ramping up to do some new things in 2023. Roadside drainage improvement projects and stuff like that, various stages. Some are in tender, some are in construction, some are still being worked on engineering. And you're going to hear a little bit about the Kinbrook connection pathway, where we have stage 1 tendered. That is the first 2.4 kilometers from this building going south to Township Road 18-2. That again is funded through that economic stimulus money that the province awarded us for the pathway after losing a road project. So that's on the go. And the stage 2 component, the remaining 10 kilometers more or less, remains in the design phase and being worked through with the committee. CNWP Phase 2 meetings with MP Engineering have been taking place with respect to preliminary design and Contract 1 construction. So you got some statistics there about how many easements we need and where we're at with a lot of that. ISL, Land Services, the improvements to the Brooks Aqueduct barrier. So there's kind of a post and cable barrier going up and over that aqueduct location. It should technically be guardrails, so they're working on that. Tilly landfill closure remains under review and in progress. Crack sealing paved roads is complete, so now we're waiting on the line painters to get things done. And other than that, just identify the Rolling Hills Hamlet Advisory Annual General Meeting that we attended, where there was approximately 20 members of the public present. Heard a few things back from them. And I did complete my lean belt training, so that's done, so I can get back to normal duties. And we're working on getting our processes and procedures up to date in fleet services, and that's a collaboration with the Municipal Services Administrative Assistant to be a secondary eye on things and help that along. So the only other thing, part of my report, is just the permit statistics. And I don't know whether council finds this valuable or not. If they're not finding this valuable at all, or what it's actually for, I can absolutely remove it at any time. But in the month of May, since this is the June report, I didn't have it at the time, but we did have 193 permits. And you can see how those statistics fall out in comparison to the previous years, what the 3-year average is, the 5-year average is, and where they fall. And I just remind you again, those are your overweight, overdimensional loads, typically your rig moves, the mud tanks, the dog houses, not the dogs for your yard, you know, but for the industry side of things, those are the things that are moving through the community. So if there are any questions from my report, I will gladly attempt to answer them.
Thank you, Mark. I note that the statistics were blurry on my computer. That's what we're working on here, but that's fine. Thank you. Ellen, please.
Just regarding the watercraft inspections about the invasive mussels, is there any statistics on it as to how many they intercept?
The province is the one that generally is monitoring all that. I do get that through my Wild Alberta on Facebook sometimes. I don't have anything specific. John and Devin do participate in some of that when they're running short with the EID and stuff to help out down at Kinbrook and things, but I don't have any of those statistics, sorry.
I think the EID keeps pressure on that issue as well because of the threat if that gets out of hand at all. Yeah, so that's good. Mark, a question with regard to dust abatement. That is, you basically rotate from year to year, whether you start on the north or the south end of the county or not?
No, generally we start immediately around Brooks because that's where the highest traffic volumes are, and then we get into a rotational basis through the rest of the electoral divisions or operational areas.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? Holly, please.
Two, the work around the Brooks Aqueduct. I'm just curious because that would be a federal site, so I'm wondering why is it around it or something?
It's Range Road 14 too, so it is county road that we're doing the guardrail
just on the actual road.
Yeah, going up and over the big fill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And secondly, is the county looking at having RAP students this year? Because I'm just very pro-trades.
Unless people forget, I have opened those doors to the local schools, and when they have a student, they usually reach out to say what that student is interested in. So as for mechanicking and stuff like that, I've had no contact since, well, let's say pre-COVID.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Seeing no other questions, a motion. Greg?
Just to let you know, I like the statistics, so keep them coming.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, a motion to approve our municipal report. Lynette, thank you. All in favor of approval of the municipal report? Thank you, Mark. With that, I'm going to suggest we take 5 minutes and reconvene in somewhere just before 25 after 11. And at 11:30, we will have a attendance from Dan de Klerk.
Okay, try this.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's been a while. We're all on withdrawal. Okay, let's call our meeting back to order. We have an 11:30 delegation. Diane, welcome. You're prepared to go a little early, 5 minutes early? Yeah. So welcome to our meeting this morning. Appreciate you coming. And should we have some introductions? Let's start with introductions.
Hello again, Lynette Koff, Division 3 Counselor.
Hi, I'm Dan Short from Division 1.
Hi, Adina Scandrip, Division 2, Tilly area.
Hi, Dan.
Holly Johnson. Stand right near Bow City.
Morning, Nat Fensky, County Administrator.
Welcome, Arno Dirksen.
Hi, Diane, my neighbor.
Hi, Greg Screever, Division 5, Castles and Lake No Resort.
Hi, Diane. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Amanda Philpott, Division 8.
Of course, I'm Diana Clerk, and I'm with the Brooks and District Health Foundation.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm doing that right.
Yeah, as long as the light's on. No, press it one more time, and then the time. Yeah, when. No, it gets broadcast around the world. So. Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
Go ahead.
Okay. So on behalf of the Health Foundation, we're recruiting volunteers for trustees, and in that process, in the past, we've always, or not, I shouldn't say always, during my term, there has always been, and that's been 5 years now, 6 years, we have had a representative from the County of Newell as well as the City of Brooks on our council, or on our trustee board. And we found that it's very good because the communication and the information that those individuals bring to our committee helps in making decisions and knowing what's going on within our local governing bodies. And that interacts very well with healthcare, because when you're dealing with all these various levels of bureaucrats, I guess, if you want to call it that, having that support of our local councils gives us more better communication with what we're trying to do in our efforts to continue to enhance the healthcare system in our community, which in turn supports keeping staffing here and just making it a better community all around if we can continue to enhance our local facility and support our frontline workers and our various other other aspects of healthcare in our region. So in the past, it's been very beneficial. During my tenure, I've noticed that. And those participants in the past, so we've had Dan Klein and we've also had Ellen in the past on our board, and that really worked well in that open communication and partnershiping, like building partnerships in our efforts. So.
Thank you for that, Diane. Are there any questions? Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that I volunteered for 5 years while I was a county councillor, but I was never actually appointed by the council itself. So I was approached by the Health Foundation Board.
Oh, okay. And I wasn't sure how that was set up in the past. It was just, we have always had that person there.
Sure.
So it was kind of like, well, we don't have that person, I should reach out. And then through COVID, being limited to the number of meetings and stuff, we just kind of put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
And now that we're past
resetting
that,
again?
past that phase, we're reaching out to
Sure.
both parties to see if there would be an interest. And again, I didn't realize it was not an appointment. I just thought it was.
Okay. No, appreciate that. That's fine. Do you have a representative from the City of Brooks at this point, or are you
Not at
waiting?
this point, no.
Yeah, you're still. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Neil?
Just a comment, but I think that being the state that Alberta Health is in right now, and health right across the country, shortages here, shortages there, I think the county should be there to influence help as much as we can.
And like I say, in the past, that partnership has been really good. Like you guys have supported like the bus, the shuttle between Brooks and Medicine Hat in light of the changes that have happened with various things that's outside of the Health Foundation's control. Alberta Health Services approaches us with needs in our hospital, not necessarily just Alberta Health Services. Our local staff and frontline workers, families of patients and people being treated at the hospital also approach us with, requests for funding in areas that they see that would be an improvement in our local health care. We've had a number of anonymous donations for certain things, and money is directed through the foundation. We control the funds that are donated, not Alberta Health Services.
Right.
As a board, we're entrusted to invest the donor dollars from our communities and various organizations and businesses into what would be considered enhancements in local health care. We typically don't do things such as brick and mortar, but for example, we've added on 14 beds for palliative and subacute care, subacute care. And in that process, we didn't do any of the structural stuff.
Right.
And we don't do the consumables, and we do not do labor. But what we do is make sure that our facility has the equipment required to do the job that needs to be done in our hospital. We've spent, I believe we have to update our records. I think our community has invested well over $2.5 million into that facility.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Thank you, Diana. Any other questions? Holly, did you have a question?
Yeah, this is actually more of would you call it a fundraising arm? And so does that really make sense? The county's appointing someone when it's kind of a...
Not per se, no. So Alberta Health Services, I want to say it was like 1982 or 1985, through their restructure. So Alberta Health Services used to manage the money that was donated. So that was kind of a conflict of interest, if you will. So they created these foundations. So pretty much every community that has a hospital in Alberta has a foundation. It's a volunteer board of directors that manages the funds that are being donated. Yes, we do some fundraising if there's specific projects, and there's always that opportunity when we make those, when things arise at the facility that the government can't finance or whatever, or doesn't have the resources, or we see that there's a need, we take it on and then do whatever fundraising or reaching out to various organizations. So we're not specifically a fundraising committee. We do fundraise in the event that we have a specific project we're working on. But otherwise, we're bequested money from families, organizations are looking for places to invest money in the community, and that's a great place because it's a long-term, and it's an investment that will be there for everybody in our community. It's a long-term investment in our community. Memorial donations, that kind of thing. The majority of the money comes from straight donations that people want to invest in local health care. And we do, in the event of special needs, raise money, but that's not so often.
Yeah, basically the organization that manages or handles various types of philanthropy directed towards the hospital, and that's why it's a foundation. So, Holly, go ahead, please.
So you're wanting someone on council mostly for the advantage of communication and seeing needs. Is that what you would mostly say want someone for?
We want that partnership so that we have the communication. It's not that we are, begging for people to come out and help, and we don't want to create a conflict or anything like that, but we want to create relationships that are beneficial to the whole community. You guys represent the community. You represent various areas of our county. Therefore, like Bazzano does have its own foundation as well. But here in Brooks, we serve a catchment area that includes, I believe the last count was 35 or 45,000 people when they go the greater reach of our area. So.
Okay. Thank you for that, Diane. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will appreciate you coming in today. I think that helped clarify the priority that you place on this and will help us make a decision.
And just one comment, one additional comment. The commitment is 9 meetings a year, and they're typically a couple hours in the evening.
Okay.
So that's the commitment. And then if we have special events, we do have additional meetings, but the basic commitment is 9 meetings.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, Council, we have an opportunity to decide what to take action on this. I think we deferred previous decision to tabled it to today's meeting. And do we have a table? Did we table a motion or just the issue? Okay, could we lift the motion to lift the motion from the table? Should we have that motion printed? Okay, so we'll lift the motion from the table to appoint a counselor to the Brooks and District Health Board for a 3-year term expiring June 9th, 2025. Yeah, we need a motion to lift that from the table.
Yeah, I made the motion to table it, so I'll make the motion to lift it from the table.
Thank you. Further discussion. Neil, please.
I'm just wondering, does it have to be a 3-year term in case somebody decides they don't want to do it or needs to get off?
I think it's something that we wouldn't have to deal with again for 3 years unless, I mean, someone can always resign their position and then we'd have to deal with it again anyway, right? Unless we want to deal with it on an annual basis, but I think this would give someone, if we're going to go ahead with this, it would give someone some tenure there over a period of time, right?
Yeah, okay.
I think, yeah. Kelly?
Well, you've heard me before. I'm going to speak again against the motion to appoint somebody on. I totally encourage people to volunteer for the position and to get involved. I have been on our local health foundation for about 2 years now, and it's great interaction with community members, and it's good to do some service work. I just encourage people to get on the board, if I could leave it at that.
Okay, thank you for that. Any further discussion, any perspectives that you want to raise? I mean, I think we clearly are responding to a request to have a representative from our council, so that's not a volunteer situation as such, so that changes this. Dan, you had a comment, please.
That was going to be my question as to, was this going to be a paid position or were we making somebody volunteer? But you just answered that it sounds like we're making it a paid position, right?
I feel quite strongly if we're appointing someone to represent us at a function that we need to address the compensation factor so that we're not expecting someone to respond to these kinds of things because they have the means independently or something like that. That keeps us an organization that is open to everyone who is otherwise a ratepayer. Neil, please.
Yeah, I think the hospital foundation is every bit as important as some of the other committees we're on. Rexon Park, for instance, like through joint services, AHS is in the shambles. The ambulance is almost ready to fold up. Anytime we can get in and have some influence and do some good, I think we should, and I think this should be a paid position.
Okay, thank you. Lynette, please.
Do we have any other committees that we appoint people to that are even similar to this, or is this going to be like a one-off, that most everybody is a volunteer and you wouldn't be? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. Matt, do you have an opinion on that? I'm trying to think.
I do not have that body of knowledge. Sorry, I can't respond to that.
Kelly, please.
I would have to say that no, that this may be a one-off. Also, I did not apply. It's an application process. So you fill out an application form to Alberta Health Services. And I did not apply as a committee or a council representative. I applied as a volunteer. So I don't know if you would have to include that in your application. I think you would if you're being sent and paid there. So just an FYI on that. It's a different situation when you are sent by somebody, because there's also expectations of reporting back. If we're sending somebody, we should be getting something back. As far as I know, all the committees that we attend, we are sending money to them on a regular basis. And so we're attending those meetings to report back how our funds are being dispersed or spent. So I see this as a totally different situation. We're not funding the organization, so what is our expectation back by this person that you send?
That's a good consideration. Lynette, please.
Another thought on how to deal with this. We have delegations that come in and report every so often. Would it, like I know she was talking about communication, but maybe that should be our request, is that she comes in and reports, then there is some communication at least coming this direction. And if at that time we can be of assistance when they do come to report, it can be done at that time.
I think Kelly has raised another issue, though, that maybe requires some more information for us to be gained before we make a decision. Because if, in fact, the approval of a member on the Health Foundation is subject to approval by Alberta Health Services, I think that we need some I'm interested in more information to be gained for us by staff with regard to the details of that, because that is a different perspective than us just sending somebody there. So Adina, please, you have a comment?
I just want to say, all of us here are very strongly community-minded people. That's evident in what we're doing. And I find that people like ourselves, we volunteer and we're on boards and we're on committees. And so a person can get overwhelmed because they know that you're going to say yes, that you're going to participate. So then they come to you. You know, there was a time I was on 5, 6 different boards because they knew that I would do it. And so I'm kind of torn because I don't mind volunteering, but when you're doing several different things, then your time is worth something. So I'm really torn with this because I see the need to be on this board, but if everybody else is volunteering, then I should volunteer too, but I don't have that extra time. So I'm just saying, like, I just don't know which way I want to go with this because I see both sides of that.
Thank you for that. Who else did? Ellen and then Neil.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that is correct. When I first started volunteering for the foundation, I did have to fill out an application, and Alberta Health Services will approve or not approve.
Thanks, Ellen. Neil, and then Greg.
Would it be worth our while to check with the town, see how they're going to handle it, so we at least have some more information that way?
And consistency with regard to how we approach it. And I really think there's a question to Alberta Health Services with regard to the status of someone we would put forward.
There's only 2 members on the whole committee, one from the town, one from here, that could possibly be paid to be there.
That's right. Greg, please.
Is there any other boards that would compare to this type of board? Like would SPEC be a comparable if we had a request for someone to come to be on the spec board or the food bank or something like that, are we opening up a can of worms here? Just a question.
I think that's a good question and something that maybe we need a little bit more information on with regard to the status of that situation relative to Alberta Health Services as well. Not directly related, but it is I think that's a good consideration. Holly, please.
As of a month ago, the city told me they were not going to be have a paid representative on the health board. And secondly, were we not paying someone to be on the food bank before, Kelly, or is that volunteering? Because there were several county councillors who took time on that board too.
Go ahead.
There was a time that we did attend when we were directly funding the food bank, I believe, and that was for a short period. But then we did have councillors who stayed on afterwards as volunteers. Remember that? Okay. So we were funding the food bank directly, but now we're not. And so we got off that board as a paid staffer. But, and just further to, if we do go in this direction, I really want us to have clear expectations of what we expect from this person that we place on the board. Because just being on the board is not enough. We have to be getting something out of it for our ratepayers, right?
I think that's a good consideration, and maybe we've answered the question. I don't know. Personally, I think that we need to continue to encourage volunteer activity in our community, and maybe appointing someone to this position just clouds that unnecessarily, while we at the same time encourage someone from our council to volunteer in that position. I'm not sure. It's up to council. Are you ready for the question, or do we defer for some more information? No, we don't have a motion. It was tabled, so we've just brought the issue to the floor. Go ahead, Holly.
Can we make a motion before Kelly's question was answered about being paid through that position? Because I think we should know that regardless, shouldn't we?
Kelly?
I appreciate that, Holly, but I am prepared to make a motion, but I will tell you that I will be voting against the motion. So if you want to clear the matter off the books, I will make a motion that we nominate someone to attend Brooks Health Foundation meetings, and I will be voting against the motion.
Okay. I'm not going to accept that motion right now. Pardon me? Yep. Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Greg, please.
I'm just wondering if we're opening up also, because we do have another hospital in our jurisdiction in Bizano, and no request has come from them, because we do have a member that volunteers on that board already. So I'm wondering if we do vote for this motion, do we pay that person that attends the Bizano Health Board also then? And would that person be a representative of the county?
Well, there would be some precedent if we pass this motion, but I think that's a good consideration. Neil, you have a comment?
Little different. So, like Diane was here wanting our participation, inviting us to the thing. Bizano hasn't. If Bizano showed up, I would vote. I'm voting for this. Can we? But it's a little different.
Yeah, it is a little different, but because there is a member on that board, they won't come to us. It's only when we didn't have a member on that board anymore that the Brooks Foundation is coming. So, yeah, I think it's tied together myself, but.
Okay, any other comments? I think there's still a legitimate question with regard to the status, the perspective that Alberta Health Services has with regard to, and expectations with regard to representation on a health foundation, because I think that's something we're not sure of at this point, because Matt, have you got a comment for us on that?
I don't have any specific insight into Alberta Health Services requirements, but I'm gonna assume that there currently isn't a requirement for a municipal representative to be appointed to the board. So I think the conversation's been really good. A lot of good things have surfaced. You know, you do potentially open the door to any other not-for-profit organization that's looking for board members to come to your table and ask for you to volunteer or to provide your services to their not-for-profit board on the dime of your taxpayer. So I do think you need to be cognizant of which direction you go with this one. Other board representation where we do have an interest in ensuring accountability and appropriate oversight for taxpayer dollars, that totally makes sense.
Thank you. Adina, please.
So just to comment again, I have some concern, still kind of on the fence, but I don't want this to be seen as we're not supporting this board, because we're not going to, you know, if we decide against it, we're not going to appoint someone, I don't want that to be seen as we're not supporting them, because we do still support, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just a little concerned about the perception of it all.
Thank you for that, Adina. Go ahead, Lynette.
To go with what Adina was saying, back to what I said before about inviting them to come, if there is something that they feel they would like our communication on or assistance, I think if we do defeat this motion, that to just make sure that there is a, knowing that it's an open door, they can.
I think that's a good perspective, and I'm pretty confident that even if we defeat this motion, that we'll have a volunteer from the 10 of us somewhere to participate on that foundation. So I'm sticking, you know, I'm going out on a limb on that, but I just think that will address some of what we've discussed. So we have a motion on the floor. Are we ready for the question? Ellen?
I would like to hear the motion.
Have you written a motion, Ariana?
I have what I wrote in the RFD and what Kelly said.
That we appoint someone to the Brooks and District Health Foundation Board for a 3-year
Yes.
term. That, I believe, is the motion that we have. Ready for the question? All in favor, please indicate. Opposed? Okay, the motion is defeated. Thank you. I think this has been a useful discussion. Thank you for your participation. Let's move on to, Lynette, I'm sorry.
Could we send a letter to them saying that we have decided not to appoint someone, but
Yes.
that they are welcome to come?
Yes, and maybe we can add some information to that letter following, if we learn more. That's good. Appreciate that. Yeah, so we'll send a letter. We'll move to item number 12, committee reports, and we have a report from the Calgary Stampede BMO Farm Family Awards from Councillor Christman. I appreciate the report that you have presented. That is an excellent activity that you attended on our behalf. Any further information with regard to committee reports or a response to the report, that questions for Kelly or anything? Seeing none. Oh, Kelly, go ahead.
If I may, since I wrote this report, I'll refer you to the last sentence of my report. After reading the minutes where it was said that I was appointed to attend this on behalf of County Council, which I stated was a true honor. I appreciate it. And I've said in my report that I would not be seeking compensation, but since I was appointed by County Council, I do believe that our policy states that I would be compensated. So I want to clarify that I do plan to submit my time and mileage to compensation. And I apologize for that error.
No, I accept that, Kelly, and I certainly support that entirely. Thank you for your attendance, and I agree completely. And it should not be construed that I appreciate your willingness to do that on behalf, you know, as a without compensation. But I think it's appropriate and important that we do stick with the policy that we have. There's enough lack of clarity with regard to that that surfaces from time to time. So accept that. Go ahead, Kelly.
And if I might just add that the Evanses were so gracious and so appreciative of my attendance, and they invited me to the picture, and it was truly an honor. I just can't say that enough, and I really hope that you all get the opportunity to experience this, and I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. And I think this initiative is one that we're pleased with, that comes across the southern Alberta, and it is an opportunity for us to highlight the good things that are happening within our county that are really the initiative of our ratepayers, and that's excellent. One more comment?
One more comment on this. I want to thank Todd in Ag Services for all his work and organization. There was no seeking out of information. Todd and his staff provided everything that we needed, and so that, Todd, shout out to you. Much appreciation.
Ditto on that. Thank you, Kelly, and thanks, Todd. Let's move on to item number 13, post-agenda items. We have a meeting on July the 27th in the AM with an ADM and another representative from Alberta Agriculture to discuss the future and hear their vision for CDC South. Matt, you can probably give us some additional detail.
Yeah, so we had a preliminary meeting with ADM John Conrad, as well as Jake Kotowit, I think is his name. And they're going to be in town for meetings at the CDC South, and they were willing to entertain a group of us beginning at 8:30 on the 27th. I think we've got 8:30 to 1 o'clock. I've extended the invite to our counterparts at the city on the Joint Services Committee, so we've got confirmation that our Economic Development Officer will be there, as well as a few of the councillors from Joint Services. And I think we're kind of looking at this as the more the merrier. If you have an interest in the CDC South and hearing what the ministry is planning on doing with the place, we'd extend the invite. So the 27th, beginning at 8:30. We're going to get an education on the history of the CDC South, I think John said, as well as what their philosophy is for making sure that asset is fully utilized moving forward.
Yes, and in addition to that also, I think seeking input from us with regard to our vision for the future, which I think is a great opportunity, and we have invited, there will be a few other community representatives attending as well. Go ahead, Greg.
Is there an RSVP for that, or do we, I think, just show up?
I'll send a meeting invite, so if you want to go, let me know, and I'll forward the meeting invite. Lunch will be provided as well. So if you were sitting on the fence, it's going to be at the CDC South. If you're sitting on the fence, lunch will be provided, and it should be really great. I mean, John Conrad is very passionate about the CDC South, and I think we're going to see some positive things happening there.
Yes, I'd agree, and from our conversation with him, certainly consistent with the initiative that we took to go up and meet with the minister with regard to our concern that some things move forward there. So, okay, that's taken care of. I don't think we need direction on that.
Should we get a motion to make that a function of council?
Yeah, I guess we need a motion to appoint this as a function of council. Ellen? Okay. Motion to make the meeting with the CDC representation a function of council. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. We have some information items that are there for our information. Are there any questions with regard to any of those? Holly, please.
I pull it back up again now, but with the IT, information technology report, when it talks about, which one was it here? The regional IT agreement has been completed with an expiry date of December 31st, 2026. So what does a regional IT agreement actually mean?
Well, our talented IT folks downstairs do provide services to Bassano currently, so they help arrange IT support for server replacement, ordering their laptops, desktops, assisting with things like that. So we do bill for that. That's a cost recovery agreement, and it lets our very talented folks spread their wings and, you know, provide benefit to our partners.
So it's only with Bassano, no one else.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no more questions with regard to information items, it is 12 o'clock. We could have lunch and then reconvene after lunch, or do you want to complete the meeting? Let's break for lunch, and then we will begin maybe in 45 minutes or less if we're complete, and we will at that point move to in camera. Thank you.